everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing an Instagram Q&A. I asked on Twitter, I did a little poll because I'm modern and flash like that, of what kind of video people would like to see this week, and it was kind of between a mid-monthly favourites, because I've not done one in ages, or a Q&A about blog and Instagram stuff. I settled on doing an Instagram Q&A because I've never really done one just about Instagram, and I've done ones about blogging before, so I thought rather than kind of make it a bit too varied, I would narrow it down, curate it a bit more like a grid, and just do something themed around Instagram because they are the things that seem to pop up the most. So I have some questions here and I've tried to think them through a little bit, and I'm going to go through them, and yeah, hopefully there will be some interesting things for you to learn about Instagram and how I do it. I guess it's probably not that exciting, but I hope you enjoy, and let's get going. The first question is from Sam Sheriff, and she asks, how long do you spend setting up Instagram photos, i.e. flat lays and editing? This totally depends on what kind of thing I'm shooting. In general, I'm not the most pernickety person when it comes to Instagram, despite the fact you could look at my grid and think, whoa, girl spends a lot of time doing that. But in general, I mean, if it's a flat lay, I tend to spend, I don't know, it depends how long it's taken me and how much prep I've done. I have a little Pinterest board filled with shooting ideas, whether that's for blog photography, Instagram stuff, which kind of gives me inspiration for what I'm doing, whether it's perhaps a sponsored project that has quite a set brief, or whether it's something that I've seen, or say for example, I've been to an exhibition recently and I have some postcards and some merchandise that I picked up from that. So if I'm styling something out and have an idea, it won't take long, but I have some props that I do tend to bring out if I need. So I've got some coloured sheets of paper which are really, really useful. I've just got some bits lying around my room. I don't like to plan it too much because I think it's quite obvious when something's purposely styled. I mean, sometimes things look better styled. So for example, I mean, for brand-wise, Cambridge Central Company do amazing flat lays with their products. So I think they did one when they went talking about Paris, and they had like a croissant and beret, and they kind of did this really beautiful flat lay with lots of relevant items, and it kind of tells a story. So I think if the items are perhaps enhancing the picture or telling more of a story, they're really great. But I think if you've got loads of random items in with something that's not necessarily relevant, it can look a bit odd. Say for example, the postcards I was telling you about earlier, the ones from an exhibition, if I was to photograph those and then include, say, lipsticks and a few perfume bottles, it might be a bit of a random image, whereas I think sometimes keeping it simple actually executes a stronger message. I don't know, perhaps I'm reading into it too much, but it really doesn't matter too much. But I think if I'm doing a flat lay, it just depends on the topic and the subject, but I try to not spend too long. When I'm out and about, I'm a little bit less picky. I think especially with outfit pictures, if I've got a cool location in mind, it's as many pictures as Joe is willing to take before he gets a bit bored / cold or hungry, or until my phone just says storage full, like stop it. So I mean, I do like to kind of plan out locations as well. I do have a little folder on my phone of streets I've seen or buildings that could be cool for certain outfits, which kind of ties into more blog photography. But it's more the pre-planning that I tend to do opposed to the actual planning and like sitting down and curating like a masterpiece, because I think Instagram should still have that kind of candid kind of spontaneity to it, otherwise it becomes something a little bit too thought out, which obviously some people do exceptionally well, but for me, I do like to kind of play it by ear a little bit, I guess. Moving on, the next question is from Beth, from Pages from Beth, and she asks, how do you edit your photos so your grid works well together, like a theme? I have tried to be a bit more relaxed with this in the last year. I used to be quite considered when I looked at my whole grid. I used to be like, right, how's everything look? But the way I actually look at Instagram accounts is I don't go onto people's accounts and check out their grid. I look at individual images as a single opposed to a whole gallery. But in terms of keeping things relatively themed, which I admit we all probably like to do, I do use the SEO cam, which, I mean, it's not the perfect grid, but it gives you an idea about how things set out. And my friend Carrie did a post about this, and my friend Christabel has spoken about it, and they've kind of suggested some apps which are really good at showing you what the kind of, is it 3x3 grid looks like? So they have that. In general, I just like a rough idea of how it's going to look, so I try to keep it similar by using similar colours or similar kind of hues. So there are certain filters on the SEO cam that I do like to use. Some things don't work for everything. So say if you're doing an outfit shot, or you're doing a flat lay of your breakfast or something like that, not every filter works for the same thing, so I think it's being able to adapt that when appropriate. But the filters I personally use on the SEO cam, as I use well, I used B1 the other day, which is black and white, so that's not always a favourite. But I love the C filters, which are kind of like, as my friend Sarah describes, quite Wes Anderson-y, very bright, but very blue and pink toned, but also quite vintagey. The kind of thing you might get on Hipstermatic all those many moons ago. But I do love C7 as well. There's just a few different ones, but they're the kind of ones that I tend to try and use as a whole. I know a lot of people tend to try and keep the whites in their images the same if you're going to be super on it. So that's like if you've got a grid which is primarily white, using the same filter, so you've not got something that's a bit cream. I don't know, it's technical stuff, Instagram. Never underestimate the gram. But yeah, same filters, same colours, trying to pre-plan a bit, but still being able to, you know, if I'm out with friends I want Instagram, still having that element of, you know what, it's Instagram, let's go for it. The next question is from Harriet Goodacre, and she says, do you plan your feed or just post what you like? Do you get paid for any posts? This was a really good one because I don't think I've ever really spoken about the more paid things I do, but in terms of posting what I like, I definitely do. I'm not as regimented as I probably should be. I don't try and pack in a set number of Instagrams a day. Some days I'll go without doing it at all. So I just try and do something that's important or relevant, or I don't know, something that sums up my day or an experience, opposed to just thinking, oh god, I've not Instagrammed, let me just put my shoes on the floor and get a quick Instagram of those, because I personally don't think that's exciting for people to see of me. I love being nosy for other people's lives, but for me I'm a bit more like, really, does this matter? But in terms of getting paid, I do sometimes get paid for Instagrams. It's very rare. I think in the last month there might be 1 or 2 paid Instagrams, but everything is disclosed with #ad. So you will see it if you scroll past it, but I try to very much keep everything in the same fitting as what's already on my grid. I don't try and disguise anything or make anything look more over the top because it's sponsored. I'm very selective with things. I'm really picky. So I just think if it would fit in with what I'm normally doing, great, and if it wouldn't, then maybe it's not the right thing for me. But yeah, I think if you might be able to dig them out, but it's the same kind of thing as what I'm always doing, so there's no secrets here. We're all honest, we're all friends. The next question is from Rose Tinted, which is Claire on Twitter, and she says, what do you use to edit your Instagram photos? Do you stick to a colour theme? So I've spoken about the colour theme, but in terms of editing, I use the SEO Cam. I also like Snapseed, and that's kind of it. I only really use those two. I do, however, really love Instagram's own editing features as well. I love brightening on Instagram. I love straightening things up. I think it's so easy. I think anyone can do it. And sometimes taking the saturation up and down on Instagram's own app is so easy and straightforward. I try not to overcomplicate things. I do have Facetune because I use it for the most obscure things. I think there was an Instagram early last year, where I was holding a baguette, and this baguette was just the weirdest shape ever, and I almost wanted to it was just, the positioning was weird, everything was weird about it, and I had to kind of clone bits to make it look more normal, because I know people would have been like, eh? Maybe that's me being private. I think, for example, if I'm editing blog photos or an outfit photo and there's a heap of rubbish on the floor, I think having Facetune where you can clone, say, bits of a brick wall behind is good if there is something that's a bit unsightly. But again, it's really not overly important, and it's not the end of the world if you don't go into that kind of detail. It's just how pedantic you want to be with your photos, and sometimes if you've got an itch to scratch, just satisfy it, just edit it out, leave it alone, and crack on. The next question is from C, and she asks, do you ever feel pressured to gramming for the sake of it, to hit a certain amount of Instagrams a day? This is something I can comfortably say no. If it's been a few days and I've not done an Instagram, because I see it as part of my job spec, I do feel a bit like I should definitely get a picture out there, or I should definitely kind of be a bit more active on this. But this is why I love Instagram stories so much, because I do feel now that if you're not overly active on Instagram the whole time, you can compensate by using that feature of the app. You can update people with what you're doing in real time, or you can do a live session, or there's lots of things you can do that mean you don't necessarily have to be putting out content all the time. And because I put out blog posts and I'm always on Twitter, I feel the pressure less, perhaps because it's not my sole focus. I like to try and document things as I go, and sometimes I'm a bit like, oh, I should have really posted from that day, but I'm not too regimented. I don't like to kind of overanalyze it or look at stats or anything too much. It's sometimes helpful, but in the same breath, with apps like Twitter, you just have to go with it. Even if it's a weird time of day or you don't think people will see it, just do it, because I think most of the time it will surprise you. Glasgow Fashion Girl asked a question. She said, do you move around in photographs or stand? Give us all the posing tips, please. I am the worst poser ever. I can show you my last picture I took on my stream of pictures, and it took ages to get it. I was sitting above a sign that said good vibes, and I was trying to do a cool sitting pose, and it took bloody ages, and it was really embarrassing, and I am not very good at posing at all. I don't have a posing Pinterest board, which I definitely think I should get, but I think do what makes you feel comfortable in photos. If you feel most comfortable sitting down or just standing stationary, arms by your side, do it. I think it's funny because me and my friend Carrie were talking about this the other day. We said, do people prefer to see like more natural photos or more kind of staged photos? And I think the answer to that is a weird middle ground where people like to see staged photos that look natural. So they wouldn't want to see a natural photo where you've just turned the camera on, it's just like, or chins and everything, but in the same breath it's nice to see a balance between the two where you're, I don't know, I can't work it out. It's a really fun job. I think you have to do what you feel comfortable doing, because I think if you're uncomfortable, people can tell. For example, if I'm freezing cold taking an outfit picture, I'm standing like a lemon most of the time, and the picture's less good, so I think you've just got to do what you like, do a bit of swirling maybe, I don't know. Sometimes if you wear interesting clothes as well and there's a bit of movement in that, it does the talking for you, so don't worry about it too much, just do what makes you feel comfortable. Even if you want to scroll through like Pinterest, I love saving pictures on Instagram now, so you have like the private board of like the pictures you've saved, looking through, seeing the things that I've liked or the things that I think are really aesthetically satisfying per se, and then saying, oh, that works quite well, like, and she's only, you know, got her outfit from, you know, the bust up, or like she's only got her belt details, or that looks quite cool. So just seeing what you like and maybe gravitating a bit more towards that can sometimes help. But yeah, just following lots of people. I think I follow like 1,500 people. I'm not frugal with it at all, so filling up with all the inspo. Okay, the last question I'm gonna finish on is from Andrianne, I think I said that right, and it is, I'm looking to upgrade my camera, what body lens do you use? I primarily use my Canon 5D. This is more for blog photos. I don't really use it for anything else other than filming and blog photos. And for Instagram, it is primarily taken on this phone, which is the iPhone 6S, I think. Is it a plus? I don't think it is. I'm useless with technology. No, it's just the 6S. Joe is like there going, no, no. Which is really good. It's fine. It's a fine camera. It's not the worst camera. It's great during the day. When it gets darker, it's not great in low light. I do have the Google Pixel, which is a fantastic camera. And my friend Janae was also telling me about a camera she's using at the moment on a phone, which is, oh, I can't think of it. I'll link it below, but the camera was out of this world. It was this phone camera, but you could literally adjust the background blur from the subject, you could change the ISO, it was unbelievable. And I was looking through all her photos like, whoa, 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 I could not believe it. But I think it's a new phone that's come out. I mean, not being hashtag ad or anything, but I will link that because I was so blown away with this camera. So I think if you've got a phone that you need primarily for camera usage, Pixel is great, but I just use my iPhone camera primarily, or occasionally I use blog photos taken on my Canon. But I think if you're looking to upgrade, it depends what you want. I think point and shoot Canon is great for that. I know a lot of people love the Olympus pen. It is a good camera. It's not my favourite camera in the world. I'm a real Canon person through and through, but I know a lot of people have moved on to Sony at the moment. But the Canon is great. The 5D is fantastic. Even if you want to kind of ease your way in, you could always buy second hand and look at the 5D Mark II, which is possibly slightly cheaper. I'm not really too sure, but that's kind of what I'd aim to go for if you're looking to upgrade into something a bit more with a bit of a broader spectrum, basically. So that is that. I really hope you enjoyed this video and there was some useful information. I didn't waffle too much. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and let me know what other kind of videos you'd like to see. I'm enjoying being on a bit of a video roll at the moment. And yeah, I'm just really excited to get filming more things. There will be some more fashion videos coming up, so do stay tuned. I've been on a bit of a spending ban, so I've not been doing too much shopping, so I'm trying to like rein it in a bit, but I might do a video talking about kind of like how to overcome a spending ban and just be more controlled with your shopping, because I think it is possible. If I can do it, anyone can. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you next week.